In a world consumed by violence and corruption, one righteous man is chosen by God to build an ark. Facing mockery and disbelief, Noah obeys the divine command, preparing for a catastrophic flood that will cleanse the earth. His faith, courage, and obedience will determine the future of all creation. Welcome to a powerful journey of faith, courage, and divine purpose. Prepare to witness the epic story of Noah unfold. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. Genesis 6:5-6, here in KJV. The earth had become a place of great wickedness, its people straying far from the ways of righteousness. Violence filled the land, and the thoughts of men were continually set on evil. Cities flourished in rebellion against God, and the descendants of Adam and Eve multiplied, but so too did their iniquities. The fallen nature of humanity grieved the heart of the Lord. Once God had walked with Adam and Eve in the cool of the garden, but now he looked upon his creation, and sorrow weighed upon him. The harmony that had once existed was now shattered by sin, and the world groaned under its corruption. Yet in the midst of this darkness, there was one man who remained faithful to the Lord, Noah, son of Lamech, of the righteous line of Seth. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations. Unlike the others, he walked with God. The streets of the city were filled with lawlessness. Men brawled in the alleys, drunken laughter echoing through the night. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Genesis 6:8, NKJV. God determined that he would bring judgment upon the earth. The corruption of mankind was beyond remedy, and justice demanded a reckoning. The Lord resolved to cleanse the world with a great flood, washing away the violence and wickedness. But Noah, because of his righteousness, would be spared. One day the voice of the Almighty came to Noah. "The end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with pitch." Genesis 6:13-14, NKJV. Noah was tending to his flock on a quiet hillside when suddenly the sky darkened, though no storm clouds had gathered. A deep, resonant voice filled the air, and Noah fell to his knees, trembling. The presence of the Lord surrounded him like a great wind, and he listened as the Almighty spoke of the coming judgment. His heart pounded, but he did not question the command. He bowed low, accepting the task given to him. "And this is how you shall make it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. Genesis 6:15, NKJV. The ark would have 3 decks, a single door, and a window for ventilation. Noah was also commanded to bring 2 of every kind of living creature, male and female, along with provisions to sustain them during the flood. Thus Noah did, according to all that God commanded him, so he did. Genesis 6:22, NKJV. Noah, in faith and obedience, began the immense task of building the ark. He and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, labored day and night, cutting gopher wood, shaping planks, and sealing the great vessel with pitch. As Noah and his sons worked under the blazing sun, a group of men gathered nearby, laughing among themselves. One stepped forward, sneering, "Noah, what madness is this? A boat in the middle of dry land? Where is this great flood you speak of?" The man scoffed, his companions roaring with laughter. Noah, wiping the sweat from his brow, looked at them with steady eyes. "The Lord has spoken. Judgment is coming. Turn from your ways, and you may yet find mercy." The men only laughed harder. "Your God has abandoned us, old man. Enjoy your foolish labor. We will drink and be merry, for no flood will come." As they walked away, Noah sighed, but did not waver. He turned back to his work, driving another wooden peg into the vast frame of the ark. His sons exchanged glances but remained silent, their hands steady as they continued the task God had given them. Meanwhile, Noah also preached righteousness to the people. warning them of the coming judgment, urging them to repent. But their hearts were hardened, and they refused to listen. The world continued in its corruption, blind to the impending doom. The final plank was placed. The ark stood as a massive silhouette against the sky. The animals had come, guided by the unseen hand of God. Noah and his family made final preparations, securing food, water, and other necessities. The air was thick with tension. The sky had taken on an unnatural hue, and the wind carried a whisper, as if the earth itself knew what was coming. For after 7 more days I will cause it to rain on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and I will destroy from the face of the earth all living things that I have made. Genesis 7:4, NKJV. Noah's heart was heavy. He looked one last time at the people who had mocked him. Some had begun to doubt their skepticism, but still none turned to God. Their laughter had turned into nervous murmurs. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon. A drop of water fell onto Noah's outstretched hand. He looked up as another followed and another. The laughter in the city ceased. People turned their eyes to the sky, some gasping, others scoffing one last time. But the rain did not stop. The earth trembled. On that very same day, Noah and Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah's wife and the 3 wives of his sons with them, entered the ark. Genesis 7:13, NKJV. Noah's family entered the ark. The massive door stood open, awaiting the final command from God. The people outside now began to panic as the rain intensified. And then, in a moment of divine intervention, the unseen hand of God moved. As the last of the animals entered the massive wooden ark, Noah and his family stood at the threshold, gazing out at the world they had known, the world that was about to be no more. Then, in an act that sent chills through their bones, God himself shut the door of the ark, and the Lord shut him in. Genesis 7:16, NKJV. The heavy wooden door groaned as it sealed them inside, separating them from the world outside. For a moment there was silence. Then the sky darkened. Thick clouds rolled in, swirling like an ominous shroud over the earth. A low rumble of thunder echoed in the distance. The first drops of rain fell, splattering against the ark's sturdy walls. The people outside, who had mocked Noah for years, paused in confusion. Rain? From the sky? Something they had never seen before. The raindrops turned into a downpour, pounding the earth with an intensity never known before. Suddenly the ground trembled. Cracks split open in the soil, and from the depths of the earth, fountains of the great deep burst forth. Water gushed from the ground like mighty geysers, meeting the torrents pouring from above. Rivers overflowed, valleys became lakes, and the mighty flood began. At first, the people ran for shelter, laughing nervously. But as the water rose higher and higher, panic set in. They climbed onto rooftops, onto hills, onto trees, anywhere to escape the rising flood. They screamed Noah's name, pounding on the ark, pleading for entry. But the door would not open. God had sealed it shut. Days passed. The flood waters surged, swallowing cities, forests, and mountains. The world as they knew it was gone. Inside the ark, Noah and his family huddled together, listening to the furious storm outside. The ark rocked upon the waves, lifted high above the destruction below. But through it all, it did not sink, for God had kept his promise to protect them. For 40 days and 40 nights, the rain continued. The earth became an endless ocean. Every living creature that had once roamed freely, birds that soared, beasts that ran, and men who had ignored God's warning, perished beneath the waters. Then just as suddenly as it had begun, the rain ceased. The heavens closed, the fountains of the deep stopped, and the waters, though vast, no longer rose. The ark drifted in silence, alone upon the face of the deep. For 150 days the waters covered the earth. Then slowly they began to recede. One day, with a heavy thud, the ark came to rest on Mount Ararat. Months passed. Noah sent out a raven, then a dove, to search for dry land. When the dove finally returned with an olive leaf, hope filled their hearts. The world was coming back to life. At last, after a year inside the ark, God spoke again. "Come out, you and all who are with you." Noah, his family, and the animals stepped onto a cleansed earth, one washed by judgment, but ready for a new beginning. A new beginning. As Noah's feet touched the dry ground, he inhaled deeply. The air was crisp and fresh, as though the very breath of God had purified the world. Around him, the landscape had changed. What was once familiar was now a barren expanse, a silent testimony to the power of divine judgment. Trees had been uprooted, mountains reshaped, and the very ground beneath them bore the marks of the flood's fury. The animals, eager to be free, bounded from the ark in every direction. Birds soared into the open sky, their wings stretching in joyous freedom. The earth, though emptied of human life, was still alive with the sound of creation's renewal. Noah's family stood in awe, overwhelmed by both the destruction and the chance to begin anew. Though they were few, they carried the weight of all humanity's future upon their shoulders. Noah turned his eyes to the heavens and, filled with gratitude, gathered stones to build an altar to the Lord. As the flames of the first offering since the flood rose into the sky, the sweet aroma pleased God. And in that sacred moment, God made a covenant with Noah, a promise that would echo through the generations. He spoke, "Never again will I destroy the earth with a flood. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease." Then in a display of divine beauty, a rainbow stretched across the sky, arching over the renewed earth. Its colors shimmered in the sunlight, a radiant sign of God's mercy and faithfulness. It was a promise of hope, a symbol that though judgment had come, grace remained. Life after the flood. With the land before them, Noah's family began to rebuild. They pitched tents, cultivated the soil, and planted vineyards. Civilization was starting anew, with Noah as the father of the nations to come. Yet even in this fresh beginning, human weakness remained. One day, after drinking from his vineyard, Noah became drunk and lay uncovered in his tent. His son Ham saw him and dishonored his father by speaking of his shame, while his brothers, Shem and Japheth, covered their father respectfully. When Noah awoke and learned of what had happened, he declared blessings upon Shem and Japheth, but cursed Ham's son, Canaan, foretelling the struggles of his descendants. This incident was a reminder that though the world had been washed clean, sin still lingered in the human heart. Humanity had been given a new beginning, but they would still need God's guidance and grace. The legacy of the flood. As the years passed and Noah's family grew into nations, spreading across the land, his descendants carried with them the story of the flood, a story of judgment, salvation, and renewal. They spoke of the ark, the great waters, and the rainbow that promised God's enduring mercy. The flood was not just a tale of destruction, but a lesson in obedience, faith, and the enduring love of God. It was a reminder that, though humanity may stray, God's plan remains, His mercy is unending, and His promises never fail. The rainbow in the sky continued to appear after the rains, a silent yet powerful message from the Creator. His covenant would endure, and His love for mankind would never be washed away.